Welcome, everyone. This is Alex Counts, and welcome to the February 2026 edition of IPA's virtual town hall series. Very pleased to see a nice turnout and more people signing in with every moment. If this is you're new to this series, let me say a few words about it. We, on a more or less monthly basis, we have an hour-long online session where we have speakers talking about topics of interest to our community. And this month we're having one talk about Srinivasan, our friend and guest, talking about social media for nonprofits. We welcome suggestions for topics from our community. We also welcome speakers. If you have a consultant or an expert or an academic or an activist or anyone who could add to our community you think has relevant expertise, suggest them, and we'll consider slotting them in as a guest one of these months. This is by invitation only. We do not advertise this, but we do invite all the organizations in the India Giving Day and IPA community to come, and we send invitations to those who are on our listserv, and we invite them to invite others in their organization to join us. So sometimes we have 4 or 5 people from a given organization, which is fine. We post the recordings of these on our YouTube channel. So if you are part of a session that you like, you can share it with others and or watch it again. And you can go back and listen to it so you can, if you want to reinforce what you've learned. We have a couple of things in our community that I'll mention before we go to our guest. Number one, we just published an article on our blog, which I think is really important. I actually thought that such an article would have already existed. And when I searched for it and didn't find it, I said, I guess we should do it. And I think the author of it is on this call. And it is an article called Giving is Good for You, How and Why Philanthropy Benefits the Donor. And you'll see we marshal a growing body of research that shows that actually not only do the beneficiaries of philanthropy benefit, but so do the givers in all sorts of ways. Some might be expected, others unexpected. We have India Giving Day coming up. Early giving starts on Sunday. India Giving Day itself is on Friday the 13th. Auspicious, I think, hopefully in a good way this time. And I hope you all have very successful campaigns. And my colleague Meenakshi Mahajan and her team are doing everything they can to set you all up for success. And we're pulling for you. We're also, for the first time, doing something called India Giving Day Live, a 3-hour telecast. And Sree and his fantastic team at DigiMentors are going to be hosting that and producing it for us. So it's done at really a high level of professionalism. Okay, so for today, again, we're going to be talking about social media and nonprofits and what to do, what's new, what to leave out, and who better to teach us about that than someone who's taught me so much, Srinivasan. And I'm going to pull you in here. Hi, Sree. So good to see you. And I know you know many people in our community, and those that don't know you are going to get to know you in the next 55 minutes. Formally, I'll just say that Sree is a New York-based expert in digital communications. He's the CEO and co-founder of DigiMentors, a social digital AI training and consulting company. Since 2023, he's been teaching generative AI workshops. He's hit 18 countries and 22 cities in person, along with multiple Zoom sessions. He has served as the chief digital officer for New York City. Some of you may have heard it. It's a fairly large city on the East Coast of the United States. The Metropolitan Museum of Art and Columbia University, where he was a full-time professor of journalism for 20 plus years. So Sree, we're thrilled to have you today.
Thank you, Alex. I'm delighted to be here and great to see so many people I already know
You
and
can't say.
others I'm looking forward to getting to know. We have a chance to have a really good conversation. Alex, as you all know, everything he does meticulously. He prepped for this session in a way that I'm not used to. He wrote up some great research and some thoughts, and so I really appreciate that. In addition to what he has planned, I also have, Alex, I brought some slides to just give people a sense of some of the things that we can think about, and I will let you drive that. But just to say to everyone, we are so lucky to get to do what we do, all of us, right? We're helping people in India, people here, people all over the world, and that's really something special. And I have had the honor of working with many Indian organizations, and my mother started a really small one in 1993 called Kanya. And as I look at the work that they have done, they're still very small, but they have had a chance to have their own impact. But the organizations that are within the Philanthropy Alliance, you see the difference in the way that they can the kind of impact you folks can have because of the way that you all work. Alex, I'm thinking that the organization my mom started was typically how India-oriented organizations started in the last, 30, 40 years, where it would be something very small, people just trying to come together, but they all had other things to do. There were no professionals involved in this. And then, thanks to many leaders here and others, there is now an entire culture and ecosystem that I'm so proud to be a small, tiny part of. So thank you, Alex.
Great. Well, thank you, Sree. Well, let me throw at you really the first two questions. So maybe and you can bring in the slides whenever you want. Um, Number one, some of these groups that are on this call are pretty small operations, and between their India and their U.S. teams, don't have a lot of capacity or knowledge or training about social media. They're learning as they go, trying to do the basics. Help them maybe raise their game, even if it's at a fairly rudimentary level. And then there are other groups that are more sophisticated. Um, and and so we could maybe talk about some of the more latest trends, some more intermediate and advanced strategies that they can apply, and that the groups that are less advanced can maybe aspire to in the future. So, Sree, over to you.
Thank you, Alex. And to everyone watching, I hope this can be a very interactive conversation. So please post, first of all, introduce yourselves in the chat. We'll get the chat afterwards. And please post comments. I know Alex will look through the comments, and if there's something that's urgent, he will ask. Otherwise, we'll give a chance towards the end for people to raise their hands and ask specific questions. But if there is something that's just appropriate for that moment, I definitely don't want to lose that opportunity to talk to all of you. So thank you. The issue of capacity is so fascinating. I work, as you've so kindly said about my work. I work with organizations of all sizes, and I also had the opportunity to be the chief digital officer of Columbia University, the Metropolitan Museum of Art, and the City of New York. And I've worked with organizations that have, I had a 70-person team doing digital at the Met. And then I've worked with organizations that have two people altogether. And the similarities between all of them is really fascinating. Alex also knows that I work with the Nobel Prizes in both Sweden and Oslo. And you would think that there would be so little in common between these gigantic institutions and the smaller ones. And you would be wrong, because wherever you go, they will tell you, we don't have enough budget. We don't have enough resources. We don't have enough people. And when you hear a $3 billion institution say that, you kind of say, what are you talking about, right? I had when the Nobel Prizes asked me to work with them, I said, you're the Nobel Prizes. Why do you need my help? And they said, we want more impact. And I said, you're the Nobel effing Prizes. What are you talking about? Like, you want more impact. Then what about my mother's tiny organization? What about every other nonprofit? So it just tells you that everyone is seeking a way to fit in to this crazy digital landscape, this place of opportunity, but also fraught with so many problems. And I think the underlying element that will make Indian philanthropy successful as it has already and where it will go, no matter what your size, is the idea of storytelling. And so I have to tell you a story about where I am right now. I am in Chicago, in Oak Brook, Illinois, which some of you hearing that may know a little something about it. I'm on the original campus of the McDonald's headquarters, including Hamburger University, and they've promised me a tour of that building afterwards. And that may have been the reason why I agreed to do this was to the talk that I've come here to talk to. And by the way, I'm here to talk to a construction company. And you'll say, what can I tell people about a construction company? And these are the folks who fixed LaGuardia. Have you been to Terminal B, Alex? It's incredible. It's like Dubai or Shanghai or Singapore. They also did the new Tappan Zee Bridge, which some people call the Mario Cuomo Bridge. And all of it is about storytelling. Everything is about storytelling. How do you take the incredible work you do and translate it into storytelling opportunities? I mean, that's why I got to work at the Met, because they wanted storytelling. And you would think that that's all they were doing, right, for all these years was in fact storytelling, but they believe that there is more that they can do in terms of outreach and impact and connecting and reaching out to people. So that's a place where I would start. And the good news about storytelling is because everything has become so much easier to in terms of technology, that you can see there are opportunities for everybody. And Alex, please jump in as you have questions, but I want to just show you a couple of slides and just way of couple of thinking of things. So one of my themes is going to be every organization should really invest in Canva. And Canva is a tool that many of InDesign and Quark Express and all these Designer, Adobe Designer, all of those things. But Canva is where you should be investing your time and energy for just this one tool. And what I'm hoping my conversation with Alex will be about big picture things, really high end, useful things at the top level on how to think about this, but also some very practical things. So I would suggest making a sheet of paper or on your computer or on your phone, two columns. Things to try now, things to try later. We're going to name some tools, we're going to name some organizations, and some strategies. So taking notes is going to be really important, not just because I was a professor for 20 years at Columbia Journalism School, but because annotation is one of the great skills of the 21st century. The ability to be able to take lots of content, synthesize it, digest it, and then put it back out is going to be very helpful for anybody in the philanthropy world, in the nonprofit world. So here I did this in less than, I think, 60 seconds. I was able to pull up something and put together this slide for all of you, where Alex and I were on my podcast. It's called the New York Times Read Along. Every Sunday, I read the newspaper out loud. For 10 years, we've been doing this. And Alex was great on it, and we can tell you how to get to the recording if you want to. But more importantly, this idea that graphics and storytelling doesn't have to be big stories. It can be graphics are part of your storytelling package, and it matters. And this is our pitch for our little company to everybody. And I'm not pitching you folks, I'm just showing you that this is the same pitch that the Met made to me. Come and tell our stories. And that's what the New York Times wrote about my work at the Met, telling stories. And when I was at Columbia, it was about telling stories of the 250 years of Columbia and the future of Columbia, the future of education. And same thing with all of you and what you're doing. How do you tell that story? Somebody who is now in an office that I was part of. You may have heard of Zoran Mamdani and what he's doing the at the at the at City Hall is quite remarkable. Whatever your politics, I went in January 8th, 2025 to a fundraiser on the Upper West Side for Zoran, who I've known for a long time because father is a Columbia professor. His mom is Mira Nair, the fabulous director. And he was polling in the single digits. By June, he won the Democratic primary, and by November, he was a mayor. And that's all about storytelling. And now, in this very crazy environment with the snow and everything in New York and the anti-Zoran movement, he's off to a great start. Is it perfect? No. Is he going to be able to sustain it? No. But all of us can learn from him and his use of social and of digital as part of his process. So, Alex, let me just pause there. And I have more things to talk about, but I just wanted you to reflect on that with me a little bit.
No, I think that makes a lot of sense, Sree, and I just love. I've got these columns: try now, try later. Like a lot of others, I'd love to start filling them up. And we usually leave the second half of the hour for it to be more interactive, but would love to just to put some more issues on the table for now. Some of the things you've taught me, I think, would be so valuable to share with the community.
Sure, thank you. And as we think about this, I have this. I'm going to share with you, kind of again, a couple of big picture things, and I promise we'll get a lot of little things you're going to be able to write about. But these are also things, folks, you have to talk to your boards about, right? Like this is you might be operating as efficiently as you're optimizing everything you're doing, but the art of storytelling and reaching out, like I tell people, you're not just storytelling to the rest of the world, you're storytelling internally, you're storytelling up to your manager is doing to your CEO is doing it to the board, and that's what you have to do. By the way, at the Met we had an 80-person board. If you think that your board is tough, your board is hard to wrangle, Alex, I don't think you've been part of an 80-person board yet, but can you imagine that with people like Henry Kissinger, David Koch, all kinds of people in the room. It was just fascinating. And so storytelling goes in all directions in the nonprofit world, not just external, but also internal, and winning support for your individual projects, individual things that you're trying to do. And so this comes down to this idea that Les Hinton said to me in a small meeting. He said, the scarcest resource is human attention, and how we get, grow, and keep that attention is the most important thing we can do. And I've done a TEDx Broadway talk on this subject to see how do organizations as big as NASA have to deal with this, and they have to fight for attention. And there's something there for all of you to try with your organizations in India. Some of you are already doing it, where you invite your best donors to come and visit on the ground. That's a brilliant strategy. I encourage you to do more of it. I also encourage you to uh, bring them back stories if they can't get to India. And everybody here is actually working on India. So how do you do that? And then how do you make that connection back here? Who are the people? Tell the stories of the volunteers here who go and do so much, but they're much easier to wrangle than getting everybody to India. So think about that as a way of cutting through the clutter and having an impact at kind of the highest level. So this drives all my work, this slide. And the second slide that drives all my work is this, my theory of the two footprints. We all have two footprints, a physical footprint and our digital footprint. The physical footprint is everyone who knows and loves us, gives us money without even asking. That's the physical world, the footprint, and the digital footprint is everybody else. And if you don't raise your digital footprint, you're leaving opportunities, resources, dollars on the table. And so everything you can do to raise that digital footprint while still doing all the great things you do. We're not here, Alex and I, to say, let's, move everything to social media. No, the reason that Zoran's been successful is because he built the social media engine on top of his really good persona, his ability to tell stories. It helps being Mira and Iyer's son. All of that has helped him get to where he is. So what I tell folks is that you need that combination where you're able to take your traditional values, your traditional ethics of fundraising, your contacts, your wisdom, your knowledge, your Rolodex. I don't think that's a word we use anymore, Alex, but you take all of that and then you layer it with a digital overlay. So a colleague of mine coined the term tradigital journalist, tradigital philanthropy, tradigital consulting. And we all should be thinking about that. How do we bring that traditional and digital forces together? Those are the organizations that we want to work with. We want to help all of us as we look at things. And by the way, later, Alex, I'm going to show you an example of how people are moving not just on social but on AI, and how AI is affecting philanthropy and how people are thinking about that. And I would suggest for a future session, you should bring in an AI expert and just talk about AI and philanthropy. There's a lot to do there on that topic separately as well. So in the spirit of storytelling, I want to tell you that one of my students once wrote this in a chat room, and I grabbed it and I put it on the back of my Met business card. And he said, "We do some jobs for the money and some for the honor and privilege of doing the work. If we get to do both, we're lucky." And that spirit of what one of my colleagues once called kind of joyful exuberance is how we should approach our social media, our digital life. We know how hard philanthropy is. We know how difficult it is to squeeze money out of donors. We know the pay isn't always great. We know every single person here could be doing something for a lot more money, but you're all here because you believe in the causes you're supporting. And I recommend highly, if you don't go to it, the annual fundraising day in New York, that the Association of Fundraising Professionals event. It's worth coming in from all over. And if enough people come, I'm sure Alex would have an event on the sidelines for the Alliance people. I don't know if you've ever done something like that, but I would encourage you because it's a great day of learning. And you'll leave with 1,000 ideas. And it's a great event. It's once a year in June in Manhattan. It's totally worth building something around, not this year, but another year perhaps. Just want to throw that out there. I love giving Alex homework, things that I don't have to do. I like giving him things to follow. And here again, think about your own organization's journey. Putting together a slide like this is so easy, right? You can see I used to have hair. You can see computers used to look like that. But it tells you instantly, right? Here's my story, right? I'm old. I've been around. I've seen it all, but I'm trying to keep up, right? I've moved from my tweed jackets of Columbia professordom to what my son calls my Ronaldo jacket, though I don't look like Ronaldo. So just think about every opportunity. What are photographs, images, screenshots, maps, cartoons that you can collect and reuse to tell your stories? Those are little things that you can do. And again, Alex, if there's anything, the comments that comes up, please jump in, or you yourself jump in, please, because I want to make sure this is as interactive and as helpful to everyone as possible. I'm not looking at the chat so that I can look and concentrate at you folks with you folks, but Alex will come in as needed. So let me pause here again, and I'm going to share some more ideas, but see if Alex wants to wants to add anything here.
Yeah, while we're still in the first half of the hour, Sree, again, I would encourage you to keep going. But one of the questions I'd asked, the additional ones, is if you had a chance to do this, is to take a look at some of the social media feeds of our organizations in our community, and maybe you can highlight some of the ones that you thought were really well crafted that could be, kind of an example or a model for others.
Yes, and I have done that, and I will show you, instead of me telling you that, what I thought would be helpful is to think like a philanthropist and show you how philanthropists are now using AI to come up with answers to your exact question. And we can also, by the way, if we have a few minutes at the very end, if any organization wants to do what I call, a CAT scan, if they want to just quickly call up, we can do kind of rapid 30 seconds, look at different people, different account, at least one or two accounts, and just give you quick feedback on how your social is going. We can do that too. If there's time, it would be fun to do that. So as we get to your question, I wanted to show you this slide just to give you a sense of how many god channels there are. And most of them. We'll just go quickly around. Upper left, that's LinkedIn, Instagram, WhatsApp, Snapchat, right? Then we have Messenger, Venmo, PayPal, Twitter, TikTok, WeChat is at the very end, the one that looks like a piece of toast. I use something called Blink Card. There are just so many things out there. And There are just so many ways for us to communicate. So when you ask Alex, who's doing well on social media, which social media? You could be doing really well on a platform that's declining, and you wouldn't perhaps even know it because you're doing it so well. I mean, I've seen this where you say you're killing it on this platform, but the platform is dying. And that can be an issue for nonprofits because you were just so happy with your success there. And I've seen this at many organizations that invested in things that sort of went away. You might remember Google Plus was huge in India. India was the number three country and then the number one country on Google Plus, and then Google Plus went away. There'll be people on this call who've never heard of Google Plus because it came and went so quickly. But when it was there, India was huge. India is number one, number two, or number three on every channel except TikTok because they banned TikTok, as you know. They've banned 60 different Chinese apps. And I wonder if TikTok will come back. I used to advise not just philanthropies here working in India, but I do a lot of work with Indian organizations, Indian companies, for-profits and others. And I say, don't worry about TikTok. But now with Larry Ellison and Trump and everybody buying TikTok and bringing it here, maybe you'll have to look at it. Not now. I'm not saying to do that, but you all need a strategy for the different channels. What makes sense? What should I be investing in? Where should I go? Where should I move? At the Met, we did a lot of WeChat because we won a lot of Chinese foot traffic into the Met. So like that, you have to be choosy and choosing as you're doing these things. Uh, I want to just take a second to talk about LinkedIn. And LinkedIn is one of those places where a lot of your philanthropy big donors are when they're not on most of these other things. I'm sure you've noticed that it's their kids are on these things and others, but they themselves are not on one. And the platform they're most likely to be on is LinkedIn, and LinkedIn is having like a moment because Twitter's been dealt such a death blow by Trump and Musk. We have seen that LinkedIn is kind of doing really well. So I'd encourage you to think about ways you can use LinkedIn, and it's worth again down the road, Alex, just talking about LinkedIn because there's so much potential in the nonprofit world with LinkedIn. So let's talk about some toolbox ideas. We already talked about Canva, and I want to talk about Wise Stamp. By the way, any tools that I talk about, I make no money from them unless if I did, I would tell you. Everything is, I'm constantly testing new tools, and the ones I like, I bring out. Canva is, these are all things that, have free editions and then 20 bucks a month. That's sort of, you've seen with AI, right? Everything is free, 20 bucks a month, $200 a month. That's the kind of usage expense you can imagine if you were truly using a tool. But these are all 20 bucks a month or so. So Canva, everybody knows it's a design program that helps you put together quick designs or deep designs. And as we're learning on India Giving Day Live, the great program that Alex and Meenakshi are putting together for us, in that if you make everything in Canva, then everybody else can work with it. You don't have to go think of it, it's not open source in a technical way, but it's very easy to use for other collaborators across organizations. So that's why I like Canva. I also like tools that work really well on your phone, as well as your laptop, as well as your desktop. So that's why I like what Canva's done. And what's also really good, it's not an American company. It's a woman founded company in Australia. So it's a different flavor, a different part of the world that's also benefiting from this tech boom. Wise Stamp is part of my obsession with signature files of email. And we know that we still send around a lot of email, right? Like one of the things I like to say is that in a TikTok world, email still matters. And Wise Stamp helps you create a nice, uniform um, stamp the SIG file, which you can have your photo in there. It can have your social media. It can go across your organization. When I did some work with the Getty Museum in LA, one of the things was that everybody's email had the latest exhibition automatically inserted in their signature file. You have 400 people working at an institution. They are promoting you all the time. So if that goes out with them, that's pretty cool, right? So you may not be able to technically do an organization-wide thing. It depends how much tech access you have. but these are things to experiment with and then see if it makes sense. Last item for today is Mail Suite, which is something that I've been using and find very, very helpful. Yesterday, I was at Vassar College doing a panel for their faculty on how to use and increase their digital footprint. Any Vassar alumni here, please let us know. And this is the power of Mail Suite. So first, there's a lot of influence still in email, and you should use your social and your projects in your signature files. And then what Mail Suite does, if you use Gmail, allows you to track opens, clicks, etc. So look at this. This is one of my organizations that we are working with, and Dr. Vinay Badwar is going. He's the first Indian American, Indian Canadian American to be the president of the American Society of Thoracic Surgeons. So one of the world's top heart surgeons and robotic heart surgeons. He is going to India to see his family. So we said, hey, let's have him meet some journalists. So we sent out this email. That's my email. And then within 3 hours, it's been opened by the foreign editor of the Hindustan Times. It turns out that Rizal is in Kiev covering the war. So he wrote back saying, Sree, I'm sorry, I can't meet him. I'd love to meet him, but I'm in the war. I'm covering the war. So here, meet my healthcare colleague, right? Like that's the power of email in this world of TikTok and everything else. So don't let this idea that social is the only thing that matters in this digital world. A couple of other quick things, and then we can go to the other questions, is the value of presentation and how you think about everything you're doing. Um, You've all been to panels, in real life panels, where everyone's sitting on a table and there's a blank thing behind them, or people come in and you don't know who's speaking if you come in a little late. So, what we did was we created a card like this and we put that behind us. And again, that card I designed in 5 minutes, and the camera people loved it. The attendees loved it. The video, which is now being edited, it was just done yesterday, will now have this behind them. And so everybody who walks in knows who's speaking. They're sitting in that order, even. So thinking about that storytelling, because we all think storytelling like capital S storytelling. No, it's little things. Using technology, using your experience, using your wisdom, and then combining it in this digital way. So the next thing that Alex had asked me was to identify great social media organizations. So, or users. So what I thought was I would give it a twist and share with you an idea that I did from this December 31st, New Year's Eve day, or New Year's Eve, just that evening. Uh, my twins are 22 years old, and which means as you all know that when they're little, there is no one's really excited about New Year's Eve apart from staying up late, right? So we were looking for some way to engage the kids and also do something around philanthropy years ago. So for about I'd say 15 to 20 years, every December we send out a note on Facebook saying, "Hey, people, suggest your favorite nonprofits anywhere in the world." And then my kids and I and the family will vote on who to give them, a few dollars, whatever, anywhere from 25 to $200. And the kids loved it. Our friends loved it. We turned it into we gamified it a little bit. It was a lot of fun. So one thing you could do from that is just as an idea is say, we want you to give to us on December 31st in your giving, but who's one other organization you would give to? Like, be generous. Like, one of the things I tell people is that what is so great about Alex and the spirit of the Alliance is we're all competing for the same dollars, but we're not competing with each other, right? What we're doing is there's a sense of generosity. And anytime you can be generous on social media, viewers, users understand that. Consumers love that. And that's why Giving Tuesday is so successful, is because built on that sense of generosity. And Alex, if you haven't had Henry Timms come and talk to you all, you should. He was the founder, creator of this with Jeremy Hamans. Both of them are great. They're in New York. They would also be great keynote speakers at an Alliance retreat or something. He went on to become head of Lincoln Center and but great guy and someone I adore and learn so much from. That generosity. So that's just a quick idea that you can just think about that. So back to this. So what we did this Christmas, this New Year's Eve, we're trying to all stay awake with the kids who are now much older. We were with our friends who also have 15-year-olds. And what we did was we took that game that we've been playing and turned that into an AI thing. We said to chat to Gemini, we are a family of from 15 to 55. I'm the old guy in there, and we want to donate to a range of causes. We asked the kids what 5 causes, so they named 5 causes. We went into ChatGPT, I mean to Gemini, and it gave us some great ideas. And then the kids had to go off and do their research and then come back. And all of this took 2, 3 hours and was a great way to spend New Year's Eve. So let me now show you how you can adapt that because this is what rich people are doing. I'm not rich, what rich people are doing and how they're thinking about this with AI. So I'm going to give you an example, Alex, if that's okay, and show you how that works. So I'm going in to my Gemini and I'm just going to blow this up a little bit. Oops, sorry. Not like that. Okay. All right. So here's a question. This is the prompt I gave it. And remember, folks, you can do screenshots. I can also send you all of this later. Lots of things that we can do together. Okay. So I have a good amount of annual philanthropy dollars I want to invest in helping the people of India. Go through the list of 51 organizations and give me 3 large organizations doing great social and digital media with 3 examples, 3 small organizations doing great social and digital media with examples. Take your time and really look at their digital footprints. I've been talking to Gemini for so long that they know what digital footprints means from my point of view immediately.
Okay.
And so so that's how it is. Now, just to be, we say we're not competing and all of that, but we are going to see some names here, Alex. So just know that this is Gemini. On any other day, it could be any other 6 organizations. This is not to say these are the best. We said doing great. That doesn't mean doing the best, better than everybody else, because there's no such thing as that. Okay, so is that all right, Alex? Can I reveal these organizations? All right.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so here we go. So it says the comprises of a lot. So it went through this and it says, let me break it down and do large organizations, revenues of more than 5 million. And it says, here's Akshay Patra, what it does well. They excel at industrial scale storytelling. Look at that, storytelling. Their social media channels feature high definition, fast motion videos, mega kitchens. Example, India Giving Day. They're using a kitchen tour video series on YouTube. All right, then here is AIF. Again, huge organization, OG organization, and look at all the things that they're doing and their AIF every day. I see we have our AIF rep here. I think that's Kalpana. She's smiling.
Yeah.
Uh,
Email. I know I feel
Folks,
like
can
I'm
we
always
mute? Can
pushing
everyone mute
it.
their phones, please? Thank you. And here's Pratham. I had the honor of working with them for 4 years and learned so much from them and the team there and what they're doing, teaching at the right level, the online dance parties, all of this stuff. So this is the big boys and girls. Alex, any comments once you see this?
I just said probably the Gemini looked at only the 22 organizations that are on our board and didn't look at the broader 51 is my guess because of just because of how you asked the question. But I think these are some great. Why don't you go through these and then we'll start
Sure.
going to the
So,
questions.
so is it not core network organizations? Is that not correct?
Yeah, that's and that's 22 that are on our board,
okay, sorry.
and then there's the wider community of 51 organizations that are part of India Giving Day,
Mhm.
which is slightly different than part of IPA, and
Sure,
but it probably limit itself to those 20 some odd,
sure.
but it's still some of the strongest in our network. So go
Sure.
ahead.
Okay, good. Now we're going to do the 2 million and below.
Mhm.
And actually, Alex, do you want to just talk about this? Do you want to just comment if you want to say anything?
No, I'm just waiting to get to the comments from people in
Sure,
the group
sure.
when you
So
go
here's
through this.
Milan. So just to show you, so here's Milan. Here is
Mhm.
the Vicente Ferrer Foundation
Mhm.
and Caria,
Mhm.
and they're doing ethical AI video campaigns, social media takeovers. a peer-to-peer fundraising toolkit. Those all sound really cool and things that they're doing. And then I said, how did this work out? Show me the steps. So it shows data extraction, category of scale, where did they go, et cetera, and comparative analysis. So they give you a lot of information here. Here is something else that I did. Oops, sorry. One second. Here's something else that I tried to look at here. Sorry. One second. Okay. Here. They were, it showed like here are the organizations. So they did look at, is this 51 or 20? I don't know which are the ones they looked at. So they did look at something.
Okay, so maybe they figured it out better than I thought they would. Okay.
So let's stop there. I threw a lot of stuff at everybody. We have 20 minutes. Let's do lightning rounds of things.
All right, I'm going to go. First of all, someone said that they're in Chicago, would like to connect with you, so I put your email in the chat.
Come to our iftar today. We're hosting a Saja iftar in downtown Chicago. You're all
Saja is
welcome.
the
The
South
South Asian
Asian
Journalists
Journalists.
Association. Yeah.
Very good. One question from Deb, I think it must be Deb Jarrett, but said two questions that you can take either or both. Graphics in general are not good for Instagram, Facebook. You need authentic video, reels. So I'm confused by the push of graphics. And then the supplemental question is also, can you give us tips for LinkedIn? We are growing this.
Okay, thank you. And this is what we are all here for, to learn from each other. So thank you. And you're absolutely right. This is what happens when we're speaking so fast about so many different things. So what I was talking about graphics is everything you do needs graphics, right? So including in-person things, your posters, all of that. So that's why Canva is so valuable, and you want to do that. If you only focus on the video stuff and the photography, you don't have the extra element of storytelling that comes from being masterful at, or at least agile with Canva. So just to be clear about that. And you're right. One of the critiques I did yesterday. So after we had the session we call Social Media Doctor, where people at Vassar, all the departments came to me and I critiqued their social media. One of their Instagram feeds was all graphics, meaning only text, very fancy text. It does not work. They want almost no text. Doesn't mean you can never put text, but your feed, that grid that we talk about when you look at an account. So this is mine. This is me at SreeNet. Alex, is it backwards, or can you see my? Can you
I can
read
see
it?
it. I can see
Okay,
it.
great. So here, what they will tell you is, right, you can see lots of different pictures, but occasionally having some words is okay. I'm a wordsmith. I like words, so I do words. But Deb is absolutely right. If you do too many words on these image-driven platforms, they will just lower that. For LinkedIn, let me give you a couple of things that most people don't think about. The first is that once you post something, if you edit it, there's a chance that LinkedIn will not boost it as much. It will lower, it'll suppress it a little bit because it thinks, gee,
Ooh.
is there a little marketing you're doing in there? What's going on? Are you trying to cheat them? That kind of thing. So doesn't mean you should never edit. Obviously, if you make mistakes, the beautiful thing is you can edit, but don't make it a habit of editing. A lot of us put something up and then say, oh, I'll get back to it and fix it. On Twitter, when you edit for the first 60 minutes, you know what happens? It generates a whole new URL. It loses that first one and you don't even realize it. So that's why be careful about editing. And I love editing. I love editing, rewriting, writing, right? All of that. Re-editing. So that's one thing. The second thing is that when you're posting on LinkedIn now, don't put links in the first post. This sounds insane. You're saying it's India Giving Day next week. What they're saying is don't put the link in your LinkedIn piece, which then generates that preview. Instead, put a photograph, put a description, and then in the first comment, here's the link. So you will see lots of LinkedIn accounts are saying link in comment, so that you can do that. This is again to keep from being suppressed by the LinkedIn algorithm. They don't want you to leave the account, right? You know what happens once you put in a link, then people are going to go away. So they want you to stay, and that's how that works. I hope that's clear.
Oh,
That's so
that
interesting.
Deb, go
That's
ahead.
what Facebook did years ago. So
Yeah.
yeah, okay, cool. Thank you. That's great tips. I really appreciate it.
Boy, I think that those two pieces of advice probably worth the hour anyone who's spending here. Certainly for me, I did not understand that at all. There was a question from Prasanna, and is basically saying impact reporting versus storytelling. What's the balance? What to emphasize?
How do you interpret those two things, Alex? I'm curious from you.
I
What
just
how do
just
you
impact reporting saying I'm trying to the Prasanna can speak up, but I think it's on the one hand we're saying we're trying to tell people 40% of the people benefiting from our program improve their nutrition, versus telling the story of one person whose nutrition was improved.
Yeah.
How do you strike there are two ways of presenting that positive result. Which is better? How do you integrate?
Well, the good news is you don't have to choose. You have to do both. You have to be at that micro level and through that telling the bigger story. And you have to combine it. I wish I could tell you do one or the other. You have to work that balance out. But your storytelling in your impact tell story also, right? You are reporting. Your impact reporting is all about storytelling about that one person, that one classroom, that one area. And then how do you take that to the next level is through the bigger stuff you do. And you need to do both.
Okay. Yeah, that's I one of the things, my one of my mantras when it comes more to fundraising than social media, but they're related, is anyone who will tell you that it's all storytelling or it's all data is wrong, because it's finding the mix of both. And the reality is storytelling appeals more to some, data appeals more to others, and your whole constituency will respond to often both woven together. Um, so I have Prasanna, who asked that question, has just raised their hand. Let me
Yeah.
go for it.
Hi,
Thank
Prasanna.
you, Alex and Srini. What's worked for us is I'm from India and I run an organization for domestic violence survivors. And I see what's worked is that rather than numbers, if you can convert it to outcomes, instead of saying 150 people attended this training, if you're able to say 150 people uh, gain confidence in a certain skill or whatever it is, that works well with donors. And the other thing that learning from me is that not to feel bad about how little it is to donors. I think when you're honest, even if you're making change in 5 people, it's a great thing.
Mhm.
100%. I think that's
Yeah.
that's really important. So I'll give you a couple of examples from the Met. The Met brings together leaders of museums around the world once a year, and I would always speak from the digital side. And when I said that I we did a little, we explained that in my department we have 70 people. We have two. I doubled my social media team to 2 people. The person from Peru said, our entire, our department's so small. How can you I can't have the same number of social media people as the Met Museum. I'm going to fire somebody. And I said, no, that's not the point. The point is you find where the impact is and how it can work, right? Because they were tired of hearing the Met has 700 security guards, they have 20, right? That can be kind of oppressive all day long hearing how great the big organizations are doing. And you're absolutely right. We take pride and satisfaction in every small thing. And even as our friends at Pratham can tell you, it started in a small operation and grew as everything did. The other example from the Met of how to engage donors is to think in a new way about who your donors class is. At the Met, it was all, as Alex will know, old money, Wall Street, folks like that loved art, and they were there. We found there were two groups of people who weren't giving us money as they should. One was the Indian American community, and so I did a project to raise money from the Indian American community by bringing people into the Met and doing all kinds of special things. And we raised a bunch of money there. And then the second thing was from the tech community. The tech community loves doing what we just heard. They love doing quantifiable philanthropy, right? Like they believe if they give 200,000 mosquito bed nets, they've saved 200,000 lives. We know that's not exactly right, but that's how they think. So, what are things you can quantify in your organization? So, we said we have 250,000 school kids who would otherwise never come to an art place. So we were able to use data in that way. And so I encourage you all to think about ways you can use that data and the story as part of what you're trying to do. Let's keep going.
Okay, so I'll call on Sarah Berry, and then I have a written comment from the new head of Cry America. So Sarah, go ahead. You can unmute yourself.
Well, thank you so much for this wonderful discussion. It's really very enlightening. My question is, do you feel that posts should be boosted on LinkedIn, or is this something that you think should not be done because organic move is the best? What is your thought on this, please?
So there's a lot of debate about this. I loved what my my clients at the University of Toronto were doing. They were boosting, this was a few years ago, boosting everything they posted on Facebook by $1 when it was possible to boost it by $1, just to see, is there some escape velocity that comes? And then if it does well, then they gave it $20, $50, etc. So I'm not saying now you sit and boost everything by $1, but you want to be experimenting. What works for you? If anybody gives you, a word we use in India, gyan, meaning knowledge and wisdom, that this is the way to do something, it is not, because everything works differently for every account. And there's so much pay to play now in social media that you cannot, even the pay to play is not clear, right? I know an organization that spends thousands, tens of thousands of dollars a month on boosting things and doesn't have the same impact as another that does things organically and strategically boosts, does a lot of learning, then more boosting. So that mix is what works in my mind.
Okay,
Thank
thank
you,
you.
Sree.
I'm going to read one. So I'm the new ED at Cry America. Welcome to you on behalf of all of us IPA. Speaking of metrics, wondering if you have any suggestions on, for example, what percentage of our followers on LinkedIn we should hope would like a post, etc. Definitely aiming to be thought leaders in our fields, but curious about time and effort we put into things. Hope my question is clear.
Yeah, I think I know it is. And I would say that you can think about, one of the things I tell people is you don't have to create brand new content all the time, deep posts. You don't have to do that. You all have great archives. Reuse your content, repost your content, reshare your content. If you've ever taken a social media workshop with me, one of the things that I show is this slide where it says almost everyone will miss almost everything you do on social media. What? Then what's the point, Sree? Why are you talking about this? Because yes, almost everyone will miss it, but the right people seeing the right content at the right time can change your organization forever. And that's why you need to do that. And if there are people who say, well, our donors are all on their phones only and don't use any digital stuff, that's also wrong. A lot of older people are on things like TikTok and on Instagram. They are there. They're on Facebook. And their next generations right behind them, many of them are becoming donors, are becoming folks who, I know some people who I saw as little kids are now, running huge companies, have great philanthropical training and learn from their parents, and they're guiding their parents. So that prompt I showed you on Gemini was sort of the kind of thing somebody would say, hey, how do I think about my philanthropy? What are the places I should be going to? And that's where the digital stuff matters. And one last thought, Alex, on that is, if you will find that if you're doing something innovative digitally, there will be donors who are on the sidelines who say, yeah, that I want to support. I'm not interested in another learning center in the village, which we do that plenty. But you've got a new innovative thing you want to try. I'm making this up, you want to buy a certain kind of phone for the social media team so that they can do something, something, something. It's going to cost us an extra $10,000. That you may get funding for, right?
So Micro asks
Yeah.
on social media, where are you? Oh, I'm learning a lot, boy.
That's something. That's saying something.
This is someone else from Cry America. I would like to know if there is a difference in response when we use AI generated pictures rather than original photos on social media.
Oh, the answer is yes. And it's problematic. And please be careful, because we're seeing organizations being called out one after the other because of this. The AI parts of social media are recognizing other AI and downplaying them. And then humans hate AI when they can see it. And it is getting better, getting faster, getting smoother looking. But please do not get caught up in doing that, because you will find that it is a big, big problem in terms of what you're trying to do. So please avoid it as much as you can.
Avoid the AI generated
Yeah,
graphics.
use it in you. So text works really well, or graphical text, things like that. But anything else, unless you have had plenty of time and training on what we call prompt engineering, I wouldn't. I would be very, very careful. I will. I'll show you an example in a minute if we have time, but it doesn't matter. I can just tell you that Amnesty International, great organization with huge budget, billions of dollars. There in their annual report, they used images that were AI created, and they got written about in the Guardian for that. Whoever writes about your annual report, and they did. And so that was very dangerous and wrong for them, and they got in trouble for that. So everybody be careful, please.
Yeah, I have one more question, but I think my colleague Meenakshi put in the chat a link to, I guess it's the event that you're doing tonight. Is I think that's right. And so is that anyone on this call can come to the event tonight in Chicago,
Yeah,
Sree?
if
Or
they're in Chicago, it's an iftar. You all know this is the
yeah,
breaking of the fast, as Alex knows, having lived in Bangladesh so long. And so it's a public event. We're just having
okay.
that as part of Saja. So that's what
Perfect. And I'll and maybe we'll send out an email to the listserv to reinforce that, because we seem to have at least 3 or 4 people that have said we're in Chicago, want to connect. What might be the last question is, how about micro influencers and everyday supporters? Can we engage them to support?
Yes, and I'll give you an example from universities. Universities were always, the admissions process was done by admissions professionals and faculty, right? The big famous faculty attracting new students. But now in every college I work with and around, they're using incoming students who sometimes have thousands of followers, hundreds of thousands of followers, because they did something in high school. And so you will find in your community, now this is going to sound I want to be as clear as I say this. Our nanny in our home, a former nanny, she's moved on to other things, has 50,000 followers on TikTok. And when we discovered that, you can imagine, like, the surprise, the delight that somebody in our world has that kind of reach. And that just shows you never know, you know, who in your field has that, who in your circles. Like, check your circles. They might be somebody's daughter, somebody's son, somebody's brother or sister, somebody themselves. You don't know what they're really good at, or what they're on this channel that's just doing really, really well. I worked with a nonprofit that had a physical space in New York, and because I have on Google Maps and Google reviews, I have a lot of views in the 100 million plus. They asked me to come in and take some photographs for them so that it would improve their Google Maps. You would never think of that. So if you're in India, there's Google Maps there. And if there are local influencer guides, you ask them to come and review your physical space in there. And that's something like I like to do whenever I'm in India, is just go visit places and just review them on Google Maps. And that's not social media, but it is social media. And by the way, we've talked about a lot of things, but we didn't talk about something that's huge in the Desi world, WhatsApp. And I would recommend, again, giving Alex homework, a whole conversation down the road on WhatsApp as social media, not just let's just throw things on WhatsApp. There's strategy, there's design, there are new community tools where you might have seen where people can pick what they're interested in from your, like if you're joining Saja, we send you a link and say, which WhatsApp group would you like to join? It's all automated. Nepal interest, Afghan interest, Pakistan interest, India interest, and or sports journalism, right? You can join any of those, and it's all automated, and it works so well. So that's a whole other thing. Desis are the best and the worst at WhatsApp. WhatsApp has changed India for the better and for the worse. So that's how I come to see it. Alex, I have a couple more minutes. I don't.
Yeah,
I'm
let's.
happy to stick around.
I'm gonna just end with asking you one more thing. First of all, someone had said, which I think is a good point. We don't really need a reaction to it, but just that your child protection policies that you may have at your organization, and probably should if you don't. that might push you in the direction of having an AI generated image as opposed to an image of a child, and that is, I think, good wisdom worth taking on board. Sree, in our final moment, maybe you can give people a little preview of what to expect on India Giving Day Live, which originated from a very impractical idea that I had, which was to create an online kind of marathon. And my steering committee and we've transformed that into a 3-hour live stream to celebrate. You and I will be the co-hosts for the first hour. Manisha Bharti from Pratham USA and I will be co-hosts for the second hour. And Neha Gupta from Teach for India US will be co-host for the third hour. We'll be having lots of guests, lots of interaction. Anything you can share with people about that? We're in the depths of planning it, and again, your capabilities. We're just starting to scratch the surface of before we end the town hall.
Thank you. I work with a lot of different organizations, but the way that Alex and Meenakshi jumped on this with support from the board has been exciting to see them. They're newbies to this. We're basically going to turn Alex and Meenakshi and their entire process into a live 3-hour telethon kind of thing, but better than, you remember the old Jerry Lewis stuff, because that was one way. If you're lucky, you could call in and maybe say something. Here, people can talk back via comments on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, LinkedIn, etc. Second, this is going to be building on things like we did, like the Biden-Harris inaugural ball, and things we've done for Stevie Van Zandt from the E Street Band and from the Sopranos and all kinds of cool stuff. But it all comes down to the ability to take this moment that you have, the attention you have, and share specific, interesting, impactful, creative content that then results in more giving. Does this mean the first year it's going to be a home run? Maybe not. Maybe a solid triple, right? We want everything we do to be a grand slam, but to use my baseball metaphors here. But I think what we want to do also, and Meenakshi and Alex will have been great about this, we said cut. You are ambitious, too ambitious. Let's cut back. The secret, Alex, is that the audience doesn't know. They don't know what people stick with these Zoom calls where they're just in a box and don't barely know, what they're doing. So instead, if you can produce it really well, people like that. And then you get content you can use a whole year. You chop it up and you use it again and again and again.
Well, Sree, several people were asking for information about the live stream, links to promote it. Those will be coming out very soon, and be on the lookout for those. We are also want to feature in one of the segments a donor who's making a large donation, let's say over $100,000, and the organization receiving it, some representative, and also a peer-to-peer fundraiser who's had a lot of success, maybe last year and this year. So think about if you have a large donation in the pipeline for India Giving Day, or you have someone you know is going to do really well in peer-to-peer fundraising, you can suggest them and we can bring them on as a guest, probably in the second hour is the current plan. Sree, I want to thank you for just all that you've taught me, all that you've taught all of us, your generosity of spirit, your good humor, having Meenakshi and I in your home recently to plan this out, your colleagues at DigiMentors. And I would certainly encourage, several people have asked to be connected to you, sent me private messages. They're interested in working with you, and I would certainly endorse that. Wish you a great event tonight, and thank you for promoting this kind of interfaith dialogue through celebrating Iftar, and very important to me and to many of us. So we'll be working with you soon, and thank you for being our guest today. And thank you for all of you for joining.
Thank you, everybody. Really appreciate it. Okay. And goodbye, everyone. Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.